So in this video, I would like to explain about afflictions, kleshas. You can see the Sutra 2.3, 2.4 in Patanjali Yoga, and also in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, sloka 62. So basically, the afflictions are five: ignorance, ego, attraction, aversion, fear, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. So these five afflictions have four stages. So you can see the four stages. They're active, oscillating, attenuated, latent. The objects of afflictions. So each object have particular affliction. So these afflictions are stored as impressions in chitta, subconscious mind. So let's see how to overcome the afflictions. So let's take an object of contemplation. So the mind has five senses, and with these five senses, the mind used to sense the objects. After sensing, it thinks about the object. It's called contemplation. If this is greater than some threshold, here I am talking about threshold, which is the time taken by the mind to become attached to the sense object. So threshold is the time taken by the mind to become attached to the sense object. If the contemplation time, it means the amount of time you think about the object is greater than the threshold. We cannot quantify the threshold time, like cannot say it is in milliseconds, nanoseconds, or hours. We don't know. It depends on the subject, human subject. So when the mind becomes attached to the sense object, according to Gita 262, the attachment becomes desire. So this is the first step. Then step 2, if the desire is fulfilled, then affliction is attraction. This attraction, if so, we need to identify whether what is the stage of this affliction. If the affliction stage, like I said earlier, these afflictions have four stages: active, oscillating, latent, and attenuated. Now sometimes the desire might be fulfilled. So if it is fulfilled, then we need to identify the stage of the affliction. So if it is active, so we need to make it latent. Latent means it is a dull state. It is in the dulls. The affliction is in the dulls. So we need to practice bhakti yoga. So here my main point is, at what point of time we need to switch among the four yogas: bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga. So you can see in the outside world, in the spiritual organizations, they have different they are based on different yogas: bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga. Different organizations follow different yogas. However, a human need to switch among the four yogas depending upon the affliction. Depending upon the affliction. So we need to identify the stages of affliction. First, we need to understand what the affliction, how it affects the human mind. Now, how to overcome it. So the only solution to overcome the affliction is to practice of yoga. So if you can identify the stage of the affliction, then we will practice particular yoga techniques or yoga methods to overcome it. Like I said, if desire is fulfilled, then we need to identify what is the stage of the affliction. So we'll see the next condition. Else if affliction stage oscillating. So I'm still talking about the fulfillment of the desire condition. The second condition is on the within this if is oscillating stage. If the affliction stage is oscillating, so we need to make it latent. Latent means dull. So you need to practice both karma yoga and gnana yoga. Why? Because when it is oscillating, the affliction stage is oscillating, uh, the mind is unstable. So we need to do some karma yoga, means action for the sake of action, without expecting uh, without expecting any positive outcomes, without thinking about the fruits of the action. And gnana yoga. Else if this affliction stage is attenuated, means it is weakened. When the affliction stage is weakened, it means that the object, we are not near the pre presence of the object. I mean, we may not see about the object, but we can still think about it. For example, you are in a shopping mall. The affliction stage naturally becomes active when you come to go to a temple, uh, which is a powerful place for meditators. So you are not seeing any objects, means that, for example, you are in a temple. This affliction stage naturally becomes weakened. That's why our ancestors has built so many temples to bring the affliction stage to attenuated stage. Okay, then we need to practice jnana yoga and bhakti yoga until till this affliction stage has will becomes latent. So but it is not possible always, it is not always possible to spend more time in temples. So if so we need to practice different yogas based on different uh, in different conditions. Let's go to another stage. If the affliction stage is latent, for example, you don't have to uh, you don't if it is latent, then you need to practice raja yoga and gnana yoga until you get the freedom from the afflictions. So the next condition is desire is not fulfilled. For example, if the desire is not fulfilled, obviously the affliction is hatred, aversion. When you become more anger, so and the mind becomes obsessive. The obsession leads to compulsive actions. So you need to repeat this the same steps 2 to 14 for this not fulfilled desire not fulfilled conditions. So I explained this in a programming way because it's because it's where our mind, because the programming is inspired from human brain. So if next I this back propagation. So the neural networks is inspired from human brain. So we need to these afflictions, like I said, these are five. So naturally when mind becomes possessive, then it is afraid of losing that particular object in possession. For example, take a toy or a car, bike. So you're afraid of losing the object because you have become possessive and also become obsessive with that object. So you start with fear. So from that you start to show hatred, you develop aversion. If someone's trying to steal it or someone trying to um, you know and from that you develop attraction to the like-minded people, and finally you identify with that sense object. You can take any example. So ultimately it leads to ignorance. So means you are not you are once you identify with that sense object, yourself, and you think that you are that object. So but you have forgotten the real truth, that you are the soul. That So that starts with fear of losing the objects which are in your possession, uh, the objects that made you obsessed. So the fear of losing the objects is due to the ignorance. So either you see people in ignorance state or fearful state. So when you start, so you need to understand that some humans trying to always like and dislike each other. So I explained this with the chain rule. So you can think that you're afraid because you are ignorant. If you're not ignorant, I mean, if you really realize that you are the soul, then you do not have to be afraid of losing the sense objects. The object can be the human body, also flesh, okay, and blood. So, so that is like first you need to understand what are afflictions. Next, you need to understand how these afflictions works, and you need to find a way. to overcome it. So there are so many slokas in Bhakti Yoga that you can chant to overcome these kleshas. So if you really like it, I can share that slokas in Bhakti Yoga to overcome kleshas. Thank you.